All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Jill McEwen, the Adult Services Manager at the Wilmette Public Library. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Just a few housekeeping rules. Today's Zoom program is on Zoom webinar, which means that you can see all of us, but we cannot see or hear any of you. This will be recorded and put on the League of Women Voters website in a few days. Closed captioning is on for your convenience. If you do not see closed captioning right now, that probably means that you have a setting on your computer that you can manipulate yourself. So if you don't see closed captioning and need it, please see your settings on your device. So thank you again so much. And I would now like to introduce Cindy Levine, who is the president of the League of Women Voters. Cindy?
Good morning, and welcome everybody to the second of our 2 Forum Saturdays for candidates running for municipal office in Wilmette. My name is Cindy Levine, and I have the honor of serving as president of the Wilmette League this year. I would like to thank the team of people under the leadership of our League Voter Services Chair, Jen Manning, and our communication chairs, Emmy Girgenti and Ann Sullivan, who worked to bring this event to you. We would like to thank the Wilmette Public Library for its partnership in hosting this event. We appreciate our community for taking the time to attend, and of course, we thank the candidates for their participation. If you missed last week's forum with the Village Board President, Village Board Trustees, and Park Board of Commissioners races, the video is now available on our League website. The League of Women Voters of Wilmette is a nonpartisan political organization dedicated to promoting informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League takes positions on issues, but neither endorses nor opposes any candidate for public office. In addition to questions from the League, the public was invited to submit questions for this forum. Thank you to the community for all the questions submitted, and we've used all that we can fit into the time allotted. The questions selected are based on appropriateness to the office and then are directed to all of the candidates and are not duplicative. This forum is being recorded and will be available on our website shortly. Our moderator today is Kathy Tate Bradish of Evanston, and we will begin this morning with the forum for the Wilmette Public Library Board of Trustees. And I'll now turn it over to Kathy.
Thanks, Cindy. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your civic participation on this beautiful morning. I know everyone's probably anxious to get outside, but the next 3 hours are going to be very valuable for your decision-making when you go to vote. I'm really delighted to be here. Your candidates have agreed to the rules. Lots were drawn for their speaking order. Everyone will get a 2-minute opener, 90 seconds to answer, and a 1-minute closing statement. Candidates have agreed to finish their sentence quickly when the stop sign goes up, and they know I've got an itchy mute button finger, but I doubt I'm going to need to use it. They have also agreed that they'll address the question on the table and not address each other unless it's to be complimentary about a previous wonderful answer. But if there is a personal attack, I will put a quick stop to that and give the person that was referred to a chance to answer. So here we go with a 2-minute opener. We've drawn, as I said, the order of speakers, and we begin with candidate Cho.
Hi, really nice meeting you all. Thank you for organizing this. I have 3 school-aged kids. Library has always been a big part of my family's life. So when we were living in the city, when the kids were still very little, I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 years old, we would take a weekly trip to Harold Washington Library with the little kids. So that's how the library has been a big part of our life. We moved to Wilmette when our kids were old enough to go to school, and the Wilmette Library has been the highlight of our Wilmette residency experience here. So the reason I'm running is because the library has been such a big part of our lives. And when the pandemic happened, it posed a lot of challenges that we did not face before. And my educational and professional experience include, I have an MBA from the University of Chicago, as well as a public policy degree from the University of Chicago. And I've been in roles in all my working life where for large nonprofit hospitals, where I identify issues and resolve problems for all parties concerned for the best and most efficient and effective operations. So I want to make sure that our library always stays an efficient and effective center of education and learning for all of our residents in Wilmette. And I would like to really offer my skill set, my experience to achieve this goal for our library to be as excellent as possible, that it has always been for my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, can I stop proceedings for a second here? Jill, Christine, Jen, I don't actually see all the, do I have all the candidates?
Yes, I can see them all.
You can. I'm not seeing candidate Wolf.
Oh, I am not seeing candidate Wolf either. There you go, Stuart.
Ah, here we go. Magical, the magic of technology. Okay, yes. So sorry to throw people off. That was a little disconcerting. Next is candidate O'Keefe.
Good morning. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the library for sponsoring this morning. And for those of you who are joining us, it looks like we have over 100 people joining us this morning. Thank you so much for all of the Wilmette and Kenilworth residents who are joining. I'm Marianne O'Keefe, and I'm very excited to be running this year for library trustee. For those of you who don't know me, I have a legal background. I am a licensed attorney with insurance coverage and commercial litigation experience. Why do I want to join the Board of Trustees? I'm very interested to expand my experience, and I'm very interested in to be a part of this village organization. For the past 6 years, I've been a part of the Friends of the Library. For 4, I was the secretary. And for the last 2 years, I've also been the volunteer president. And one of our treasures in Wilmette is our library. And I think I would bring a fresh, objective voice as a new trustee. And I look forward to collaborating with all of the library administration, as well as all of the trustees on the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Rogers.
Morning. I want to thank all of the league members who participated in setting this up, and all of those who are joining us this morning for the forum. I'm the old guy. I've been on the board for many years. Despite some concerns over matters such as term limits, we have term limits. We call them elections. And I've been reelected to the board because people are happy with the library services they've received. I've been a part of that for many years. Last fall, the Illinois Library Association honored me as the 2020 Library Trustee of the Year. I'm committed to continuing the excellent services that we've had. We won national awards the last several years, based largely on the participation of users of the library. My primary goal is to continue the excellent levels of service that we provide, and to do so with the minimal tax burden. We're currently at about 3.5% of Wilmette property taxes. We've never been above 5%. And I think that's a bargain that pays off for all residents, and I want to help continue that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you to anonymous viewer. We did have a little background noise, so despite the fact that I asked candidates to all keep their mics on, I think it's a good idea to keep your mic off until I call on you. So candidate Nealon, you're next.
Hi. I've lived in Wilmette for 24 years with my family, put 2 kids through District 39 and New Trier. By profession, I am a book editor. I work in textbook development for higher education. My clients are publishers, and I work with authors in planning and revising. I'm a generalist. I work across many disciplines, from geography to social science to economics to even engineering this year. In terms of community service, I've been on the board of League of Women Voters of Wilmette for, it's going on 10 years now. primarily working in voter services. I've actually set up these forums before, and I didn't really realize how terrifying they were for candidates until now. In the past 2 years, I've specialized in outreach to underrepresented communities, going into Chicago and other areas of the North Shore, bringing voter registration and voter education. As trustee, I will have no agenda. I just want to bring an approach that is problem solving, forward looking, and highly communicative. And I look forward to this discussion and to serving on the board.
Thank you. Candidate Sommer.
Good morning. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters, as well as the library, for hosting this event. I, like Trish, never thought how terrifying it would be to be doing these forums, but here we go. I'm originally from Ohio. I lived in Chicago since 1985. I've lived in Wilmette for more than 20 years and have been an avid user of the library since we moved here. As my friends will tell you, I'm a voracious reader, and I read books both that are e-reader, hardback. I have participated in programs with the library since our kids were little, doing summer reading programs, musical programs, Zoom programs during COVID. I'm also a volunteer at Books Down Under. I recently retired in 2018 for more than 30 years in the accounting and finance area. So I think these skills would be a great asset to the library board. I love living in this community, and I think my passion is reading books in the library. I want to be a good steward of the library as well as a good steward for the taxpayers. And what better way to use my skills and to give back to the community by being a trustee for the library. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Candidate Wolf.
Hi, my name is Stuart Wolf, and I just want to say that I have loved being in Wilmette. I've loved being a member of the Board of Trustees for the library, and very passionate about what I can do to support the library and all it does well, and keep it as relevant to the community as possible, as the needs of the community change, as the world changes in terms of what a library can do as a resource for the community. And so it's very important to do the best it can that way. And as I think most of us know, our library is one of the busiest libraries in the country. We have a very vibrant community that is very connected to the library. It's very important also to me that we continue to reach out to as many members of the community as possible. The people that are on this Zoom call today, thank you very much for being here. You're obviously the ones that are connected to the library already. And the goal for me, and one of my goals, is to get others that are not yet connected to have that same kind of interest and involvement and benefit from the library that I imagine all of you who are on this Zoom call are as well. My background, I've lived in Wilmette for almost 25 years. And I found it interesting that my relationship with the library as a patron has kind of evolved from being a parent of young children who love to go to the library as a place for an event, as a way to experience, obviously, books and other experiences. And then kind of as I went on, I have a background in marketing and have more recently transitioned into becoming a TV film producer. My peers call me a creative producer, which means I'm also writing scripts. My most recent TV series, which is in pitch now in Hollywood, is about the history of the feminist revolution from post-Civil War through present day. And guess what? The library has been a phenomenal resource for me in terms of finding books to draw some of my script writing from. So I have this connection to the library, both as a parent, as a professional, and now that my kids are really out of the nest. Oh, sorry, I'm done.
Thank you. And also, and I don't want this to be too disconcerting here, you froze a few times and your audio was just a little we could hear all your answers. But if you've got the possibility of picking up your workstation and going closer to your router, or and otherwise we were able to hear you the whole time. So please don't worry about that. All right, so Candidate O'Keefe, you're going to take the first question first. I will always call on you before it's your turn, so please, everyone, don't worry about that. So Candidate O'Keefe, what do you see as the library's role in the community?
I think for our village of Wilmette, the library is one of our central community places. It's almost a third space. So you have your home, you may have your workspace, not this year, but the library is our community connecting point. And as that, it serves a role and a purpose for so many people across Wilmette and Kenilworth, but also for anyone who wants to come into the library. And when you do come into the Wilmette Library, you feel welcome, whether or not it's by the people at circulation, you know, the librarians. It is one of our focal points and our meeting places that brings our students together, our teachers, and it's just this phenomenal resource that has been created and developed, and that we as the Board of Trustees need to continue to do so. It's one of our favorite places to go. Even during COVID, my children and I have done some of the various virtual presentations, and I just view our library as one of Wilmette's, you know, focal points of coming together. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Rogers.
Wilmette is a community of active readers. Generations of children have learned to read using our library's resources, including our own son, who is now 40. Obviously, he's gone way past learning to read. My primary goal is to continue to support the staff of the library, provide excellent services, materials, and assistance to library patrons. Our primary objective as a board is to support the staff and to assure that the community's needs, as they express in our long-range planning activities every few years, are being addressed as well as we can. That is the reason why in the past few years, we've been recognized by Library Journal as having one of the best libraries in the country. And that's a reflection on the fact that this is a community that uses the library quite actively. So, you know, our goal is to continue to provide those services as the pandemic eases and we all manage to get vaccines. It's possible then we may be able to open up the library and continue the services that we provided before the pandemic. But it's important to note that our circulation at the Wilmette Library during the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Nealon, and you can ask me to repeat questions anytime that you would like. What do you see as the library's role in the community?
Thank you. I totally agree with candidate O'Keefe. I think it's a central point of community meeting where we can all be equal, where we all receive wonderful service from the librarians. We can, actually, Albert Einstein even said, the only thing you need to know is the location of the library. So you can go there and just sit and be quiet and get a study room, and, you know, because you have to get out of your house or whatever you need, and, you know, just have some peace. Or you can go there and have meetings in the conference rooms or attend presentations. This year online, it was actually a little bit easier sometimes to connect if you couldn't get to the library physically. You know, sometimes you have to get out of the house and it's not so easy, and so you just click and you're online. And the library is adaptable. It's a place of civility, and I'm really grateful for the library in our community.
Thank you. Candidate Sommer.
Thank you. It's a great question, and I probably won't spend much time because Candidate O'Keefe and Candidate Nealon pretty much answered the same question. The library's never been more relevant, particularly during this pandemic. And now, where it's an equalizer in the community, enabling people to get in, use computer services, to be able to get research for jobs. It's just a great central, as Marianne said, a great community meeting place. We use it both on Zoom. We've done Zoom programs. We've done in-person programs. And that's about all, because I think candidate Nealon and candidate O'Keefe pretty much answered my question.
Thank you. Candidate Wolf.
Hopefully you can hear me better, and I'll speak briefer. So I've already spoke to some of my goals, but really it's all about the library has been so relevant in my experience as a member of the Wilmette community, and to keep that relevance going, again, as life circumstances changes for the community, for individuals in the community, as well as life changes in general, whether it's the COVID pandemic or other kinds of circumstances that come along, where the library can continue to evolve in a way to keep its level of service to the community. And so that's basically my main goal.
Thank you. Candidate Cho.
Do you mind repeating the question?
Yeah, of course. What do you see as the library's role in the community?
Okay, so I think the library's role, it's very relevant to my family. I think the library is the resources for our residents in our community, and it's the epicenter for education for the whole family, where we can have fun and expand our horizons, and we connect with our friends through the books that we got at the library, the wealth of information and the programs offered. That really, that's the way library has been to our family. So I believe that is the role of the library. It needs to continue with that role.
Thank you. Candidate Rogers, you're going to take this question first. And I know you've all given this a lot of thought. I'm just going to give everyone 30 seconds. So I'm going to count to, I'm going to ask the question, and then Candidate Rogers, I'm going to give you a few seconds before you start, because everyone else will have a head start on you. What distinguishes you from the other candidates running for the library board? What distinguishes you? Timekeeper, this is a 30-second answer.
In a word, experience. I've worked with elected boards, first as a newspaper editor and reporter, and for many years now as the developer of licensure and certification exams for the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. I've worked as a member of the library board for many years, and that perspective, I think, is beneficial to the community and to the services that we provide.
Thank you. Candidate Nealon.
Wow. Okay, I forgot to mention in my introduction that in 2012 or 13, I had the idea to start the League of Women Voters and Library Book Discussion Group. So I have been a regular facilitator of that group for 8 years or so, and I just have an involvement with the library. So Candidate Rogers used one word, and I would say involvement. I would love to stay involved in a more innovative way with the library. So I want to be a trustee.
Thank you. Candidate Silmer.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What distinguishes you from the other candidates running for the board?
Thank you. I think what distinguishes me is my extensive experience in accounting, finance. I worked for for-profit and not-for-profit entities for more than 30 years. And I've had experience in reviewing financial statements, budgeting, monthly reporting. I'm a voracious reader, and I think, to be honest, my financial experience would be a great asset to the library and the trustee board.
Thank you. Candidate Wolf.
Like Trustee Rogers, I have experience as a board member. I also have a lot of experience, as I cited earlier, in my various connections to the library as a patron. I also like to observe other libraries as a way to kind of keep in perspective what our library does well and to make it better. And I also have a background in finance to help with the library finances, which are very significant to the community as well.
Thank you. Candidate Cho?
So I am an immigrant from Korea. I came to this country when I was 16 years old. And in Wilmette, there is a growing number of immigrant families. And I think, me being an immigrant, having grown up in an immigrant family, I understand the different set of needs and concerns that these immigrant families have. I think we can reflect in the role of the board. Having someone like me on the board, we can really have full representation of the entire community.
Thank you. Candidate O'Keefe?
What distinguishes me from the other fabulous candidates is that I have a legal background. I love to review contracts, and that would be a skill set to bring to the Board of Trustees when different projects and presentations are coming before us. Also, my 6-year involvement with the Friends of the Wilmette Public Library and my experience doing so, and the relationship with the various library administration from that experience.
Thank you. Candidate Nealon, you're going to take this next question first. Do you feel that the library's reserves are where they should be? Please explain.
Actually, I don't. The library just approved a policy of reserves that set them at 6 months to 12 months of the operating budget, and I believe we're above that right now. So I would look at tools that would give us more of a prediction of how we can plan for the future to balance the reserves more carefully. I do believe there are financial tools out there. I'm not a financial expert. I would rely on the minds of others in this area, but I don't think this question would be asked if there were not people in the community who are concerned about this issue. I believe that the decision should be brought to the community, discussed with the community. There is transparency in the library's financial picture. If you look on the website, it's all there. The numbers are all there, but that belies the fact that the reserves are out of balance.
Thank you. Candidate Sommer.
I hate to ask this again, can you ask the question again?
Of course. Do you feel that the library's reserves are where they should be? Please explain.
Thank you. I agree with Trish, candidate Nealon, that I do not believe that the library's reserves are in line. Currently, the special reserve fund has about $6 million, whereas the general fund has about $9 million, which is a total of $15 million. If you all read, you'd know that. They did a long-term capital plan, which estimates for the next 20 years, they'll need about $7.7 million to cover these expenses. Got to go faster. I believe that they need to start chipping away at that unrestricted funds. $9 million way exceeds what even the new financial and investment policy, which is 6 to 12 months, which would be about $6 million. I believe to address this, they should consider keeping the tax levy flat or perhaps decreasing it in order to start chipping away at those excessive funds. Budgets and library staff prepare annual budgets, and I think they need to be scrutinized and be careful that they are as accurate as possible without overstating to create a padding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Wolf.
I think we just did finish this 20-year capital reserve study, and as was cited, and the money that is in there now is going to be used very, very effectively and very efficiently over this next 20 years. And so I think the reserve is probably a little higher than it should have been, but that's because of the nature of how we can manage the money by Illinois state law and library law in this state. So we've actually done, and it's an issue I don't think I can answer in the brief amount of time I have, but it suffice to say that we try to be as transparent as possible and not make, and this number, the number kind of skews the the issue, I guess is the best way to say it. And I would love to have more time to speak to it. And anybody who has questions about it, I urge them to please reach out to anybody on the board to email with questions. I'm happy to get into a discussion about it, but I really do believe that we are being very fiscally responsible in what we're doing, and we're keeping the community from having any major like a referendum or anything else like that. We have to come back to the community for money down the line, and we're doing things to keep the library functioning as best as possible for the community, which would be a bigger problem than what is perceived as a problem now with the reserve.
Thank you. Candidate Cho?
So I don't think, without knowing the intimate details of the budget, and especially the mission and the goals of the library that goes with the budget, I don't think I'm in a position to be giving an answer to that question, because I think the mission and the goal of the library also needs to reflect the voices and the needs of the community and the residents and the taxpayers. So I don't know what it is, because I haven't been involved in the planning. I don't know what it is that our residents in Wilmette want to see, what it is that they would like to see as part of the planning. So without having that information, I think it's difficult for me to say we have the comfortable level of reserve or not, because I don't know what the planning is. So I would like to be able to get into that conversation. And I agree with, I think it was candidate Nealon, that we need to take it to the community and incorporate their feedback and voices into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate O'Keefe?
So this was something before I really got involved with attending trustee meetings virtually and looking into the finances that I wasn't really aware of. And it's fascinating to me that the library does have over $14 million in reserves. You can look at that as a great safety net. We as a library now are allowed to do these capital projects over the next 20 years. I believe it's estimated that it's approximately almost 400,000, about 386,000, I think is the estimate per year that's going to be needed to improve the various capital aspects of our library. So we're in a great position, right? We have a lot of cash, but what we have to do as a board of trustees is make sure that over the next 20 years, these projects are completed, met on time. We also need to make sure that we are not levied more, and that we have when we have our budget every year, that we're meeting that budget, and we're making sure that we spend everything that is coming in. So I think the large reserve is a wonderful thing to have at this point for our community.
Thank you. Candidate Rogers?
I think the first problem in terms of discussing reserves is that it doesn't put things into context unless you look at the broader picture. The library capital needs study only looked at the physical plant, the building and the grounds. It does not include, for example, capital needs such as computers, updating servers, network requirements. It doesn't include changes that might emerge from the long-range planning process in the community. Also, a correction is needed in terms of the perspective on the library's tax rate. We have maintained a flat or reduced levy for the past 6 years, and the library has not levied at the maximum rate approved by the residents since 2005. So operating under the tax cap requires longer range perspective and planning than might have been true when we didn't have a tax cap. And the management of these services and reserves is a part of that picture.
Thank you. So we're going to start a lightning round with 5 questions. So just answer the question. I'll give you a maximum, which is 15 seconds. I assure you that you won't need it. Candidate Summer, you are the first one up. These are just going to be educated guesstimates, okay? How many times a month do you use the library? Candidate Summer.
Every day. I have something checked out from the library all the time.
Candidate Wolf.
I'd say 5 times a week.
Thank you. Candidate Cho. Sorry, unmute.
It's about 2 or 3 times a week.
Thank you. Candidate O'Keefe.
5 to 10 times a month.
Candidate Rogers.
I use the library online more than I use it, the direct collection, but I use libraries extensively in my work. Much of what I need is not in the Wilmette collection.
Thank you. Candidate Wolf, you take the next question first. Which library resources do you use most often? Whoop, sorry, did I skip someone?
Candidate Cho, you didn't do Candidate Cho for the last question.
Sorry, I checked you off before. Did I check you off before you answered?
I believe it was candidate Nealon.
Candidate Nealon.
Rachel has answered.
I would say 5 times a week, but you know, with online and offline, it's super variable now.
Okay, thank you. All right, now is the next question for Candidate Wolf, right? Okay.
Yes.
What library resources do you use most often?
The number one would be the online catalog, as I mentioned before, just to be researching different kinds of sources of information I need for my work.
Thank you. Candidate Cho?
It's books for my kids.
Candidate O'Keefe?
Children's activities, whether it's virtual Mandalorian trivia night, definitely for the children.
Thank you. Candidate Rogers?
Investment resources and online collections.
Thank you. Candidate Nealon?
I use Libby, the online library reserve system, and I listen to a lot of audiobooks too. So I use that for audiobooks.
Thank you. Candidate Summer?
Hi, probably like Candidate Nealon, I use Libby extensively, as well as checking hardback books out of the library.
Okay, thank you. So here's the next question. Candidate Cho will take it first, but I'll give you a second. You won't have to prove it to us later because sometimes the first book won't come to mind. What's the best book you've read in 2021 so far?
I can't remember the exact question, but I was reading with my kid, my 9-year-old son. So it was the Marquis Lafayette about the Revolutionary War, a French guy, 18-year-old French guy fighting in the American Revolutionary War.
Thank you. Candidate O'Keefe?
That's a great question. Probably Troubled Blood by Robert Galbraith, J.K. Rowling's pseudonym.
Thank you. I hope you out in the audience have your pen and paper to hand, or you can watch this again to get some great book recommendations from people who love libraries. Candidate Rogers?
The book by Donald Trump's niece, evaluating her assessment of what we ended up with in that office.
Thank you. Candidate Nealon?
The Overstory by Richard Powers, how trees talk to each other and the human relationship with nature.
Thank you. Candidate Sommer?
I would say either The Push, which is a psychological thriller, which I finished yesterday, or Rising Out of Hatred by, I think it's Eli Sassaw.
Thank you. You know, in these days of e-readers, I have a hard time remembering what I'm reading because I'm not looking at the book cover. Candidate Wolf?
I'm reading 2 books simultaneously that I love. One is The Woman Who Would Become President, about Victoria Woodhull, the first woman to run for president of the United States in post-Civil War. And then inspired by my son, a book in the Witcher series called The Season of Storms, which is the Witcher series of books.
Thank you. Now, this is not intended to be an attendance to your board duties question, but it is for how many library board meetings have you attended in the last year?
Me, Stuart?
So no, sorry, candidate O'Keefe.
4 virtually.
Thank you.
I believe it's 4.
Yeah, guesstimates are good here, folks. Candidate Rogers?
All of them.
Candidate Nealon?
About 5 virtually, and I kind of dug back to last year as well.
Thank you. Candidate Sommer?
I attended the 3 from 2021 live Zoom, and then I've looked back on probably 2 more in 2020, so probably 5.
Thank you. Candidate Wolf?
Every board meeting but one that I had a family death. And we've had several policy and committee meetings that I attend regularly, both in 2021 and in the last several months before that as well.
Thank you. Candidate Cho?
I watched one on Zoom.
Thank you. So I'm going to, I always have to be careful of the time and back us up. I think we have to say we're done with questions so that we are out of here by 9:50 and give that 10-minute break. So actually, we're going to start our closing statements now. You have 1 minute for your closing statement. We're going to go in reverse order from the start. So we're going to start with candidate Wolf, and then Sommer, Nealon, etc. back up my list. I know you're not looking at my list, but we're doing reverse order. So candidate Wolf, you have 1 minute to give us your conclusions.
First of all, I just want to say that I am so happy that we have 6 candidates running for 3 positions for the library, because I think the library is one of the real gems of our community of Wilmette. And the fact that there is this great interest from all of us on this call today, and again, from the support of the League of Women Voters and the people who are again watching, to be a part of this is just a great sign of the importance of the library. And I believe in hearing everybody today that I feel very comfortable with any of you becoming members of the board. So I wish everybody great luck and great success. If you do become a board member, it's been an amazing experience for me. I feel I have a lot that I can still offer as a board member, based again on my previous experience and knowing and what I've experienced and what I think I can do going forward. I feel very, very strongly that I will be a big asset to the board and the community.
Thank you. Candidate Sommer.
I first want to thank the Wilmette League of Women Voters, as well as everybody that participated, the moderator, the other candidates, and the members of the community that are watching today. I think it's important to be an educated voter, and by showing up today via Zoom, or if you watch it later, it shows that you care about the community. I also encourage everyone to check out the Voters Guide by the League of Women Voters for more information. I think I would make a good trustee based on my work experience in finance and accounting, as well as my passion for the library. I believe that if I'm elected as a trustee, I would serve as a good steward for the community as well as a good steward for the library. Thanks so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Candidate Nealon.
I didn't get a chance to talk about my vision. I wrote down a few points because I anticipated there was going to be a really broad question about what is your vision for the library. So I'm going to go ahead and pontificate about that, if you don't mind. I really am looking forward to helping the library move forward with its new strategic plan. I have a lot of ideas, on working with maybe setting up a volunteer program, working with their marketing plan, communicating with the public in unique ways, because everybody wants to hear information in different ways. And I want to invite non-users to use library services. I want to enhance children's services. They're already wonderful, but I think there's some more we can do, and maybe grab teens a little more and work with other community organizations and work intergovernmentally as well to enhance our services with the village board, park district, schools. And I just checked my website, a little plug, patricianealon.com, and I ask for your vote. And thank you very much for your time and everyone's time.
Thank you. Candidate Rogers.
I've served on the library board longer than any other candidate. And that's because of my devotion to maintaining public libraries in general and the Wilmette Library in particular as a community resource. I think the best evidence of that for us is our long-range planning process every few years, in which we survey and conduct focus groups and other means to gather information about what kinds of services Wilmette residents want from their public library. We're about to begin that process again during the next year. And that's an opportunity for us to learn what the community wants and also to inform ourselves about how best to meet the needs of Wilmette residents.
Thank you. Candidate O'Keefe.
Well, again, I'd just like to reiterate thanking all the candidates who are here. It's been lovely to speak with you and get to know you and see you today. Thanks to all the public and the library and the League of Women Voters. I would be very excited to be a trustee for the next 4 years. I have strong analytical skills. I have a devotion to the, oh shoot, am I on mute? Oh, okay, no, I'm not. I have strong analytical skills. I have a devotion to the library that I've, for the past 6 years, been a part of the Friends of the Library, which is just a fantastic organization with volunteers and Books Down Under. And I can collaborate with the current trustees as well as the administration. So I hope that when you are considering one of the new candidates, that you vote for me and you consider a new, fresh voice and an objective voice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Cho.
It's been a privilege to be on the forum, and I really thank everybody who are attending today, and I thank the League of Women Voters for organizing it. I think the board is a representative of the Wilmette residents with its legal and fiduciary responsibilities to the residents of Wilmette. I'll always make sure that the board represents all residents fairly and equally, and will reflect the residents' needs, concerns, and feedback in the decision-making process. I'll do everything I can to ensure that our library always stays the epicenter of our education and learning in Wilmette. I would really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask all the candidates to unmute yourselves, because the only applause that you're going to hear is from yourselves. But members out there, applaud away. Thank you, everyone. It's a hard time to run for office, and I appreciate all of you. I appreciate the audience out there. We're going to take 10 minutes now. We will start again at 10 o'clock, and that will be the Wilmette District 39 Board of Education Candidate Forum. So see everyone back at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.